Hello from Ricardo here at Empathic Decision Podcast today with Ben Martin. Welcome, Ben.
Hey Ricardo, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you. What about you?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very good. Pleased to talk to you today.
Thank you very much for giving us the time to have this interesting conversation. So let's start from you, Ben. Where are you coming from?
Yeah, so I'm Ben Martin. I'm VP of Product at ApprovalMax, which is a SaaS company. I live out just outside London. I've been in fintechs in the UK for the last 10 or so years, and I had a prior career in running my own business and investment banking as well. Married with two kids who keep me on my toes all the time.
That's definitely a very good angle to start with the first question because I mean, what is the best way to develop empathy if not within the family? So, what does empathy mean to you personally and professionally?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I'm on a journey with empathy, both as you say, personally and professionally. I think personally, I look at my kids as teenagers, and I need to give them the freedom to grow and to have freedom. So need to be empathetic to what they're going through, what are their social networks, and like how they're going to make different decisions from me. So I get that as a reminder every day, especially they reach their teenage years. And then professionally, very different. Gosh, where I am now isn't where I was 10 years ago, and it wasn't where I was 20 years ago. So I worked for an investment bank for the first 20 years, and I tell you that there was not much empathy on the trading floor. So it was very much results focused. So I purposely moved out of that and moved into product management, and I realized the skills that got me there weren't going to take me going forward. And I think in product management, if some of your readers and your viewers are into product management, understanding the customer needs, their spoken needs, and they're not, that they're not voice needs is really important. And also understanding what they think they know and what they need to know is really quickly and important to understand. Yeah, I realized I needed to really up my skills professionally on being empathetic to the situation I was in and the team I work for and the team who works for me. So I lead product, and I've always been really fortunate to have great PMs all around me. And I recognize now that the strength of the team is because they're diverse. They've had different educations. They're interested in different areas. They can bring, completely different aspects to product management, discovery, and delivery. So for me, developing that empathetic leadership role is great because it brings the best out in the product team.
That sounds very strong and very solid in your foundation. Let's move into the second part of the title of this podcast, so decisions. Can you share a decision where empathy made all the difference?
Yeah, I think I could probably share two if you want. So to me personally, I think I was given feedback, and it was empathetic feedback on how I communicate. And it was like, Ben, what you say and how you say it is really important. And communication is a two-way street. So that they could have sort of taken me under their wing and told me what to do, or they were empathetic in what I was trying to achieve, and they made me realize that there were different ways to communicate because I guess communication is a two-way street. So it was really important for me to get that feedback, and they came from a position of care, and I kind of changed how I communicated and probably a little bit less direct. You can't practice that in front of a mirror. So having someone mentor you and give you that feedback was great. And I can give examples if you want on like how I've been empathetic to team members if we've got time, if you want me to dial into that. So I was thinking about this, and I think one that stands out for me is a team member when I worked in a product team, and she had multiple managers. She'd done different things in different parts of the company, and she'd probably been bounced around a little. But she was really bright, really motivated, but she was just a bit disillusioned of where her position had got to in the company. And she said, "I'm going to leave, Ben. I've just met you. You're a banker. I don't understand why I'm now reporting into you. This is a bit weird." Probably would have been easy for me to go, okay, fine. But I was like, you know what? I'm on a journey. I need to practice these skills. So we kind of dug into why she was feeling unsettled and disillusioned. And we dug into the rationale a little bit. And actually, I was just listening to what she was saying. And it was really obvious to see it was a bumpy journey that was making her leave, not that she didn't like the company or didn't see a future. And it was really clouding her decision making. So, empathetic Ben listened again, didn't push a decision. I sometimes raced the decisions. I was like, this is not the right way of doing it. And, we got to actually, these are the reasons we think we can work through them. And, the outcome, she was the one of the best, if not the best PMs that I've ever worked with. So she went on and smashed it. So thoroughly pleased that we took that like investment time, and I was empathetic to what she was going through and didn't race to a decision. And boy, was that a great outcome.
This is an amazing pattern in conversation like this I'm having. I just had another leader yesterday speaking like you to me in a similar story, similar context where she was saying actually from a very tough situation where we were ready to let the person go, we discovered the best asset in the team. So it's incredibly powerful what we are talking about, and I recognize and admire your already very high maturity level in this space. So maybe you can tell us, since it looks like empathy is already a strong conscious priority in your personal leadership, how is that a conscious priority for you or for your organization?
Yeah. A great question. Is it a conscious priority? Actually, in our organization, yeah, it is. We have a team spread around the world. We work quite closely together, but we realize our company is changing. We're going from smaller startup to more scale up. And we recognize, again, what got us to where we are won't necessarily get us to where we need to go in the future. And we're actively managing the impact that might have on culture, how people are coming to work, what their desire is for coming to work, what their motivations. So for us at ApprovalMax, it really is a conscious priority. Sure, we've got more work to do, and sometimes it's easier to just fall back onto the process of roadmaps or timeframes or investing in tech debt. What I'm trying to do is really make sure that we listen to team members, going back to that first example, make sure they're in a safe place to speak up and really listen to what they are saying rather than just say, I've made a decision, this is what we're going to do. So consciously working on that. And I think, yeah, it's certainly a priority in ApprovalMax because we're a great place to work for and work within.
So talking about ApprovalMax a little bit, let's find the values that are close to empathy that shape your company culture.
I can sum it up in one word, and that's trust. So we looked at many things on our roadmap, what we were doing, what our customers are saying, what we should be building, why people were working with us. And it's actually trust, and that is going to be reflected through what we think is our company strategy and how we approach decisions and how we shouldn't approach decisions. So the company is kind of set by two or three founders, and two of them are still working in the company. And it's their culture that we still live and breathe. So they don't rush in and make decisions. They give freedom to everybody to get in and do it and try it. We might fail, but the ethos is if you do fail, at least fail fast and try and learn from those decisions. So you personally grow, the company grows, spread the knowledge around a little bit. So I do think we're very trusting, and I think you can see that in our core brand, and you will see that in our brand kind of in our releases going forward. So yeah, one word to me, and that's
That is amazing, and it looks like that you are already building a strong psychological safety in your team because allowing people to fail and celebrate it as a knowledge sharing is the peak of this kind of approach. So this is definitely one initiative that is actively working to grow the empathic approach of the organization. Can you mention in what ways are you actively working to grow your empathy as a leader?
yeah, I'm quite new to this company. I'm sort of 4 months in, and whilst I have got strong ecosystem knowledge and domain knowledge, I haven't got strong knowledge of what decisions have happened in ApprovalMax in the last sort of 6 to 8 years. So the ways I'm actively looking to be an empathetic leader is to recognise some of those decisions that were taken and not to judge them. I think any product manager knows that past decisions can play a huge part in the decisions that you need to do today. And you might have infrastructure challenges. That's because we didn't think things might change in the future, or we'd grow a new product, or we'd need to price it differently. And also the past influences a lot about what can be developed now and like what can't be with like a huge infrastructure change. So for me, I'm working hard on making sure that the decisions that we took ages ago are still influencing us now. They might be good decisions, bad decisions, but hey, they were decisions that were made at the time when people had a certain amount of knowledge. What we know now is different from what they know then, knew then, and recognizing that in like current decisions and where we go, and also how individuals need to mature and manage their own teams is really important. So yeah, think about the past a little bit and reflect that on how we can be empathetic to moving people forward.
This sounds definitely powerful, and as mentioned before, I'm very happy to meet a person which has definitely a high level of empathic maturity. So you are perfect, Ben, to introduce your vision right now about a bit of a broader angle. So we are talking about empathy, and we are definitely seeing that in most places in the world, this is still a luxury because we don't have the same development levels and cultural norms that bring empathy as a priority. What do you think in terms of how the society or business will change if empathy really became a norm?
Yeah, for sure is like one of the big questions that we should be looking at. And I think there's definite changes happening in society as we speak. Some of them are rapid at the moment, some of them are slightly slower. If I reflect on kind of my kids and what I was like at 15, they're living their experience, and they're certainly way more empathetic than Ben was at 15 years old. I know they're glued to their screens. I'm pretty sure any father and mother will say, get off your screens, but they really surprise me with the knowledge they're picking up about the world, about how it works, and asking questions on economics or tariffs, or tax rates. It's amazing. I didn't possess any of that as a 15-year old. So I'm seeing them being pretty savvy at the moment. I mean, my daughter's pretty sassy as well, but hey, you take the rough with the smooth. So for sure, I think in my own little bubble, I'm seeing empathy through their eyes, and hopefully we'll see that as a growing norm. But if my two can do it, I'm sure all their classroom is doing it. A lot of their mates are doing it. So I wouldn't say they're just two individuals, but I think our kids are certainly changing and sharing a lot more. And social media is probably a benefit to that, or an accelerator to that. There's downsides for sure on social media, but these guys are coming out, well educated and well tuned to other people and other people's views, and surely that's the benefit and the foundation of empathy.
I definitely agree with you, and my personal feeling, especially with Gen Z, is that they are a bit more empathetic than millennials and previous generations, and this is very promising. So I'm excited about that and can't wait to see how they will also shape the business industry, because at the end of the day, we need to create jobs and career paths that are sustainable and intriguing for the new people that are coming to work. So going back to this business angle, we approach our last question for you today, Ben, and it's related to your actual company culture. And in order to understand how much do you feel you need more empathy from 1 to 10? What's your take?
Yeah. Um, I think we start quite high on our empathy levels for reasons that I've talked to on the trust, the founder culture, and where we are. But I think any company, especially small company with 160, 180 employees, have always got more room to do as we change and we scale. And I've got to say, hiring new people in, if we think we're done on empathy, is probably a pretty closed off argument. Um, we want to continue to be a remote company. We'll have local areas to people to come in and together, but I think remote meetings and Zoom is going to be the norm. So for us to have a continued focus on listening, understanding, helping each other out across Slack or across Zoom is really important. But equally, what we are doing, and I've recently done, I just got back from Belgrade where I organized a billing hackathon. We had to get people around the room to exchange ideas on how we improve our billing process. And just the results were amazing. It wasn't a huge budget, a huge expenditure, but the results we got were far more than I expected, and far more than we would have got on Zoom and some Google Docs and some slides. I think being empathetic in the workplace, yes, we've got more work to do, but we're a pretty cool company to work for, and I think our current culture is quite high. So I'd give us an 8 out of 10 for where we are, but we just need to keep pushing and keep pushing now, because it's never a done thing. Things change, companies change, people change, the Gen Zs start coming in. So millennials start to become, really, really high up in the organization. So I'm not going to give you a score, but for sure, more work to do.
Yeah, definitely. The only certain thing we have is uncertainty, right? Change is constant, and we need to be agile enough to approach it. Ben, was an amazing chance to speak with you, and was a pleasure and a real gift to have a bit of your time to speak about this. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you around.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye.